is I think about the character Dorothy setting out on the yellow brick road and how scary that is to kind of like go down a new path by yourself, and someone's just like, hey, this is where you got to go. There's something great at the end of the yellow brick road. And it's like, well, what do you do? Where do you go? You have like really no guide, but you know, like you're destined to go someplace great.
Hey, I made you a mixtape. I discovered some new favorites on here, on Electric Radio Club.
Redo an episode that I've done here previously on Electric Radio Club. Because, you know, I've been thinking, like, as an artist, I create so much stuff and share so much with the world, and I realize probably a lot of people missed the episode or haven't seen a piece of art that I've done or created. So, you know what? What's wrong with, you know, repeating myself and sharing good work that I created previously? You know, what's wrong? You know, why do we have to limit ourselves and always constantly be creating new stuff all the time? So I figured I would do my very first episode as in my playlist and the theme of Electric Radio Club. And, you know, if I think about it, maybe 5 people were listening that night over a year and a half ago. So, yeah, I figured I've got some new listeners and followers who probably didn't hear that episode, or maybe didn't catch the, yeah, I'm totally showing my age, the rerun of when you can listen to it on Mixcloud. So I thought I would add in a couple more new tracks, kind of mix things up. I'm not going to do the exact same thing. But you know me, I love a theme. And the theme tonight is based on The Wizard of Oz, the story and the movie. No, I'm not going to be playing songs from the movie. I just want to clarify that. Do not turn off the station right now just because I said the theme tonight is Wizard of Oz. No, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. You know me. I like to kind of find themes that relate to life and all sorts of, you know, art related things, whether it's books, movies, music. And I've always loved the story Wizard of Oz. And I think there's a lot of great mottos and themes that you can kind of go by that relate to everyday situations. So I thought I'm going to make a rockin' playlist for you to enjoy, as I always do, along with, you know, the theme tonight of Wizard of Oz. And one of how I'm going to lead into the start of the song selection tonight, the stellar song selection, is I think about the character Dorothy setting out on the yellow brick road and how scary that is to kind of like go down a new path by yourself, and someone's just like, hey, this is where you got to go. There's something great at the end of the yellow brick road. And it's like, well, what do you do? Where do you go? You have like really no guide, but you know, like you're destined to go someplace great. And I don't know about you, but who can't relate to that? I think everyone can relate to that, whether you are starting a new job, maybe you quit a job and you're like, oh God, I'm starting this new thing. It's totally, you know, anxiety driven because you make that jump from quitting an old place to starting something new. Whether it's moving to a different city and not knowing anyone, whether it's starting maybe your own business, whatever that may be. Yeah, maybe you had to, you know, I feel very lucky that I didn't have to hop around to different schools growing up. But, you know, I've met people who are like, I had to move around all the time and I had to meet new friends all the time. So I think there's a lot of things that are so relatable based on the story of Wizard of Oz. And it is so scary to go off on your own, to do something new, but you know there's a good outcome in the end. So a little food for thought as you listen to this next set of songs. So just in case you need a refresher, I'm going to play a handful of tracks and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to start off. I'm so excited about my little rearranging of this playlist. So this is about setting out on a new journey or continuing the journey that you've already started. And I can't think of anyone better than Mr. Tom Petty to get the party off. Quartet of fabulousness songs. You know, I don't know. I am amped up tonight and I have not been sleeping well. So I don't know what it's about. Probably because, like I mentioned in my little intro, this is like one of my favorite themes. You know, the reason I started doing this little radio show is just sharing mixtapes and playlists that I make that are inspired by different themes in life that motivate me and help me, you know, kind of get through, you know, little things that happen in life and occurrences. And I kind of, in order to help me kind of get through, like, you know, whatever the situation is, I always like to, you know, reference, you know, a movie or like a theme that happened in a story. It's like, well, what would this character do? Remember when this character did this and XYZ? You know, there's so many things that are so relatable in like the most well-known stories. I just find it really fascinating. At least to me, these are all my opinions, but I hope it gets your creative cogs a turning. During that batch of songs, played some classic Flaming Lips with The Wand. Had to throw in some classic Fountains of Wayne. I don't know, you know, with everything happening last week, it felt very heavy to me. And I've just been blasting a lot of pop rock. And you know what? It helps. It's very soothing, if you ask me. Before that, Pretenders. I have been listening to, I know I mentioned this last week, or some week. I'm listening to the NPR audiobook of How Women Made Music, How Women Made Music. It's about women in music history. If you are a music nerd like me, which I'm assuming you are because, you know, you're here with me tonight, it's great. I like little short chapters, and it's perfect, you know, if you are in the car, getting ready, you know, on a walk, what have you. Highly recommend. And the chapter I listened to today was Pretenders, and you know what, I want to be Chrissy Hynde. I do. She's just badass. And had to start that off with some classic Tom Petty with King's Road. Yeah, so just talking about Wizard of Oz tonight. Cool. I mean, if you haven't seen it, I'm assuming you have, right? I mean, how could you not? It was on like TV like all the time, at least for me growing up. And I know, you know what? Now I think about that, with streaming and everything, it wasn't just like something you could flip through and like, oh, the Wizard of Oz is on. You know, you don't get that, you know, those unexpected delights that just occur when you're just randomly flipping through channels. And I realize how special that is just right now. But, you know, a majority, I know you have seen The Wizard of Oz. But, you know, like I was talking in my little intro, new paths and new journeys are hella scary. And I think one of my favorite kind of themes based on The Wizard of Oz is these characters that Dorothy comes across. You got your Scarecrow, you got Tin Man, you got the Lion, and, you know, all these other, you know, the Good Witch, the Bad Witch, you know, all these people that are, either trying to prevent you to get where you need to go, but most importantly, the people that you come across in your path who want to help you get you to your next destination. And in my experience, it is usually the least likely of characters when you are on your life journey, whatever it is that you are trying to accomplish or seek out or achieve. I don't know about you, but I really find that people that I never thought would help me or that I would have anything in common with or would have, a relationship with, helped me kind of, helped me along through like any kind of creative endeavor, whether it was school, whether it was jobs. And it's like, I would never thought I would connect with that person. And they were the one that helped me get to this next point, that was really significant in my life. And I think that happens more often than we realize. And, it's just kind of about paying attention to who comes across our path. I don't know. Have you ever experienced that? Have you ever you're seeking out a goal, whatever that is. And, you come across someone, you're like, oh yeah, let me help you with that. Let me help you get there. Let me help you achieve that. Or I got some pointers, or I have some tips, or you should check out this seminar, or you like that band, you should check out this band. You like that book, you should check out this book. And all these little like connecting the dots help. These people just are so significant. And that's one of my favorite themes. I don't know I don't know, did you ever recognize that in the movie Wizard of Oz or in the story? Just kind of these wonderful characters that come into Dory's life. Dory? Oh my God, wrong movie. Dorothy. Into Dorothy's life, and they're just, yeah, I'll help you willingly. So it can be off-putting because you're like, you really? A lion, a tin man, a scarecrow? But it all works out, right? It's about the journey, not the destination. I think that's did a poet say that? I don't know. I didn't research that. I confess. Okay. So let's just keep rocking and rolling. This is such a fun playlist. But don't worry, I'm going to take it down a notch because I want you all amped up for your evening and be like, oh, I got to go to bed now. So let's just keep going on this journey down the yellow brick road. You're listening to Electric Radio Club. These songs, I sure am. I'm having like a party of one over here. That was, like I said, Foster the People with Helena Beat. Before that, Miss Lauryn Hill with Everything is Everything. Never get tired of that album, The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. It's great, like all the time. Classic Prince with Mountains, and started off that segment with Big Country of In a Big Country. As you know, I've been talking about Wizard of Oz tonight. I know, random, but I think you all, you know me by now. Like, it's not random. I don't know. I'm such like I don't know if I consider myself a cinephile, but I, just take inspiration from wherever I can. I don't know, maybe, I don't know, is there like a philosophy class on like film and music and like life meanings and like all this like creative avenues and stuff? There probably is. I should probably take it. I'm not trying to be, I guess I am trying to be philosophical, but I'm not, didn't read anything about philosophy. So this is just, like I said, my own opinion, my own thoughts, you know me. So, talking about themes in Wizard of Oz, one character, I should say, who doesn't give enough credit is that little dog Toto. Now, I feel like he's just kind of an afterthought. I don't know about you, but Toto, I think, is a pretty powerful character. Like, he's always going off somewhere. He's always warning Dorothy or the gang, like, don't go that way, don't go this way. And the dog always gets ignored. Or he always goes wandering off, and you think, like, he's leading them to trouble, or, well, that one time he jumped in the witch's basket, now that I think about that. Okay, bad example. But I feel like, dogs are pretty instinctive. And if you think about parts in the movie, Dorothy's always just kind of ignoring him. Like, what are you barking at? What is this? Quiet, hush, hush. And don't you think, this is getting a little too deep in thought, but I think there's a lot of time when we ignore our instincts. It could be very obvious, and blatantly in front of our eyes, and just be like, oh yeah, I know something's up, but I'm going to ignore it. And I don't know, I think there's just a lot of times throughout their journey, the dog is always trying to warn them about something, and they ignore it. And I think we do that in life. We ignore our own intuition. Toto is the intuition. That's what I, see. I get off. I don't know where these thoughts come from. I read a lot of things. I'm like, that's a good point. I'm sure I stumbled upon that somewhere, but I don't have that information in front of me. Forgive me. But yeah, I don't know. Have you ever done that? Have you ever had a time where you were like, should have done that? I totally ignored my gut. That was the right thing to do, or this happened, and you know what? The idea went south, or something went bad, and if only I had just stayed true to what I was thinking about, I wouldn't be in this position. I can think of so many examples where that's happened to me, or maybe I'm just trying to be lenient on something and, not always be a Debbie Downer or, overthinker, which we all know I am. But I don't know. I just think sometimes putting your foot down and be like, no, I don't think this is good. There's nothing wrong with that. Being, a little acknowledging the barking dog in your head. Maybe obviously it's got something to say. Never met a dog that had bad instinct. Me tonight, I'm your host, Joey. Hope you have been enjoying this playlist, this little mixtape that I've made for you tonight. It's actually a playlist that I've had for quite some time. I've just added a few newbies in there this evening, like that track by Radiohead. Before that, a favorite of mine by Fantagram, Into Happiness, Depeche Mode, Never Let Me Down, and sorry, I was making sure my mic button was on. It is. And had to start off that segment with a favorite live track from David Bowie's reality tour of Rebel Rebel. I just love it. Just makes me happy. Every time I hear a live track by David Bowie, I feel like he's just talking to me personally. But we won't go down that road of how much I love Bowie, because But talking about Wizard of Oz tonight. So what do you think? What do you think about the Wizard of Oz and the story of just little life inspirations and things that kind of help us solve our day-to-day problems in a way? Another thing that I really appreciate about the story is that, the Wicked Witch of the West, right? In my opinion, and you let me know what you think, there's wicked witches of the West in every person's life. There are people who don't want you to get where you want to go. And maybe it's because they don't have faith in themselves, or, maybe they don't believe in what you do. Maybe because you're carving an unconventional path, or maybe they think your dreams are unrealistic, or, it could be even something even more relatable, like, I don't know, the government, things like that, where people are really trying hard to demonstrate their rights and, get certain things passed by law. I could go into a lot of depth by that. I'll stay away from politics, but, it just made me think like how many road barriers that we come across in life. And there are a lot of people who really try to prevent you to get where you're going. And there's that scene in Wizard of Oz where the Wicked Witch of the West distracts Dorothy with the poppy fields. She's trying to prevent her to get where she needs to go. And I, can think of so many things like that prevent us to the destination we're trying to get to. It could be life situations. It could be your health. It's such a variety of things. But the important thing is that she pulls herself out of the poppy fields with people who support her. And I don't know, I always like that example because I think it's such a significant thing that out of all the kind of lessons that I'm pulling out of the story tonight, I feel like that one is most significant. Because, I don't know, think about jobs, school. The list goes on and on. I'm trying to create, hopefully, some happy and hopeful, messages tonight. I hope you're feeling inspired about a new path to carve out, or maybe one that you're set on. And hopefully you're meeting great people on the way that kind of pull you out of those times when maybe you're down or feel like you're stuck, or, maybe you've hit, a roadblock and you're not sure what to do. You're getting distracted about where you need to head. And I don't know. That's like one of my favorite kind of little lessons in the whole movie. But yeah, sorry, I got all sentimental. You know me. I have to throw it in there every once in a while. So let's just keep going because you know me. I never get through all the songs. And there are a lot of good songs on here. So this next set of songs, I'm thinking about those times where it does get really hard. And, maybe you can relate where you're just like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm feeling kind of like hopeless. But, those little ruts that we all get into. But so this is kind of a segue into those songs that kind of help you get out of that rut. Okay? I had to throw in a little 90s track fitting for tonight's theme of Wizard of Oz here on Electric Radio Club. Yeah, got to get through the tough times with what you got, right? You and Cinderella. Okay. Before that, I had Man Man. I randomly saw them. This was several years ago. Oh gosh, early 2000s. Late aughts, early tens, if you will. And I had never heard the band before. And my friend, he was like, you should come to the show with me. And it was like the most entertaining show because it was like any kind of toy or trinket or object that you can think of, what this band used as an instrument. I remember, just to remind you, just showing my age of being an 80s kid, there was like this toy that was like an apple with a face on it, and it like was a bell. They like used that as like a part of their percussion. It was just the most I don't know, I felt like I was kind of watching some sort of like, the beginning scene of like Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It's just like this obstacle course of instruments, and they were so fun to watch. I had to include that song Head On. It was in my head all last week. I think it's such an uplifting song, especially, when things feel really heavy and you just, I don't know, you're angry, you're pissed off, nothing seems like it's going right. And I think that's just a great song to kind of keep you afloat. Before that, classic Talk Talk with Life's What You Make It. Ain't that true? And then started that off with Heartless Bastards. Oh yeah, and Keep Shelling Athens. I had to throw in, are you ever upset if I throw in one extra song? Of course not. No one's mad if I play one extra song. But I got a little less than 20 minutes left. And how am I gonna? Oh yes, I was like, I know there was like a couple new songs that I added to the playlist that I wanted to make sure that I got in. But who knows? You know me, I'm gonna keep rambling. But there is one thing that I want to mention. My last little lesson based off The Wizard of Oz is, Glinda the Good Witch says you have the power all along. We always feel, or I shouldn't say we, speaking for myself, times of doubt, we don't think we can get through something. There I said we again. I don't know about you, but I think I've definitely experienced those times where like, I can't get through it. How am I going to do this? How am I going to accomplish this? How am I going to meet people and friends? If you start somewhere new, it's scary. But, you don't need fancy shoes to, find your way. I mean, they help. Don't get me wrong. I love a sparkly accessory. But, all along, you have the power. You just have to believe in yourself. Oh, there I go again. Being all sappy. Okay. But it's true. It's so true. It's like Ted Lasso. It's like, believe, you know, Wizard of Oz is everywhere in all these little increments in life. So maybe, you know, you'll spot something that is related to the story. Kind of like I was watching the Great British Baking Show. They have new episodes out, so that's been like my calming, my way to stay calm. And Noel, one of the hosts, was wearing a sweater that said Oz. Coincidence? I think not. So hopefully you find some good things on your path, your Yellow Brick Road, wherever that is. Hopefully it's someplace good, Emerald City or whatnot. But yeah, that's my little spiel for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to get in a few more songs, and then I'll come back and I'll say goodbye. Don't you worry, I'm not gonna leave you hanging. But I'm gonna play this track. I played it on my very first show, my very first episode. This is, you know, perfect way for you to be on your own way, and that's the title of the song. This is Daughter. You're listening to Electric Radio Club.